Hi guys. No. Don't start with hi guys.
No.
Don't start with hi guys.
I nearly did it. I didn't get past
Start with.
Hi guys, welcome to Tezlom.
You do not want to miss this
version.
episode. Start with something like that. You do not want to miss this episode. It's called a hook. You'll get me in. I'm not quite sure I can put this one into words, guys, because my mind, trying to explain this right now, is going meow, meow, meow. We jump from going to war, dancing on top of the pops. Gosh, life on the playground. Honestly, I can relate to this in so many ways, and I can't even dance. There's a bit of a hint. So stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this one.
3, 2, 1, action, Gemma Hussey, QFP.
Hi, it's Gemma Hussey, QFP. I'm only joking. You will cut that. Hi, it's Gemma Hussey, the Franchise Relationship Manager at Tezlom. And I am joined today by a wonderful lady who I've been dying to speak to for a very long time. I am a little bit rusty because I've not had the opportunity to have... Can we start again? I felt myself go dead hot when I did that thing where I was thinking a million things. I'm overthinking it. You are?
Shake hands.
But that's fine because it's recorded.
Yeah.
I know. That's why I was like, I just went, ugh, making this bigger than it needs to be.
Big inhale for your nose. Big exhale for your mouth.
Dunking some ice cold water.
Thank you, some ice cold
I've
water.
got a tub at home. Just don't use it. Fuck that. Okay, I'm fine now.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm good.
When you're ready, QFP.
Stop saying QFP. You've got to shout about it.
Yeah.
I will do it then.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, action, beautiful people.
Hi, it's Gemma, the Franchise Relationship Manager at Tezlom, and welcome to the Tezlom podcast. I am joined today by a wonderful lady who I've been dying to get on the show for a really long time. I'm a little bit rusty, so please forgive me, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. Well, it's lovely to be here. I'm Anne-Marie Martin, founder and franchisor of Diddi Dance. And well worth the drive to come and see you.
Yeah, where have you come from today?
So I'm South East London. And nice clear run yesterday though. And I have tied it in with visiting a couple of franchisees, hopefully one more today, and seeing a really good friend of mine as well. So it's been well worth it.
Oh, that's nice. I'm going to jump straight in. First question that comes to my head, and it is about franchising actually. I was just going to start with, when did you start your business?
So I did the first class in 2003. So we are 21 years old this year.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank
21?
you. 21? Yeah, mad, isn't it?
Old enough at all.
I was going to say that. Thanks very much. But yeah, I started the first class in 2003. Then I tested it. So I started it in North London, and I tested it with a couple of different teachers. Then I tested it across a few different areas of London. Once they all worked, and this was over a good 3-year period, I then went into pilot franchising in 2006.
Yep.
And that's when I had a couple of ex-friends who were ex-dancers, and they took it on outside of London for me. One of them who's still with me today in Chester, and they tested it for me. Then I selfishly fell pregnant in 2007, had my son beginning of 2008. So figured out that journey of being franchisor, being a new mum, and then we didn't actually properly franchise until 2010.
Wow. Just for anyone who hasn't heard of you, which if they're not on TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn, then don't know what they're doing with their lives. Can you explain what Diddi Dance is?
Yeah, of course. So we are baby and toddler dance classes, and we do classes to the public. We go into early years settings, and we also send classes as well, so into special educational needs schools or working with Short Breaks UK to run classes specifically for SEND families as well.
I love that. What I'd like to ask you is, how did you get into that? How did you find each other? As in what you do now?
Well, what the SEND work or just everything?
Just everything. So what created Diddi Dance? I mean, what gave you that idea? Was there a moment where you thought there's a gap in the markets, or was it just driven by your passion?
Well, it's quite interesting actually. So 21 years ago, there weren't really a lot of preschool classes out there.
No.
So I'd been teaching dance to older children and adults all throughout even when I was doing my A-levels, I went back to my secondary school and was helping out with GCSE dance, because I am that old, that GCSE
Hey,
dance...
I did my GCSEs as well, you know.
I think I was the first year when it got changed to GCSE, but they didn't do dance when they didn't do GCSE dance. So I went back to help my dance teacher, their PE teacher. She was a wonderful, wonderful lady. And so I went back while I was doing my A-levels locally to help her out on GCSE dance. And then I went on and did a degree in dance. And so I'd always been interested in the teaching side of it, but obviously wanted to be a performer, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But I'd always taught older children, adults, evenings, weekends. I've taught for many of the big brands, Theatre Train, Stagecoach, all of those companies. And I just found evenings and weekends I was busy. And then during the week, after my dancing dried up, I was doing a bit of promo work, hospitality work, all those sorts of jobs. And then I tried an office job for a while, being a booker for a promotional agency. And sat behind a desk just didn't really suit me.
Yeah, how was that sitting on your hands?
Not so good. But I had loads of contacts, so I could get jobs filled really easily. And I'd got a really good relationship with, loads of dancers and people out there. So I really enjoyed the work. I just didn't enjoy being stuck in an office. I realised it wasn't for me. So when I left there, I found Monday to Friday, what am I going to do? And I started working for Gymboree.
Really?
I was a Gymboree teacher in North London, and it was there that I first started. I got trained up and started working with babies and toddlers. So back in 2003, a load of the parents were literally like, we've been looking for a dance class for our kids, and there isn't really anything out there. The local ballet schools would drop off even from 2 years. And, they're coming out, it's quite disciplined, it's quite formal. They're coming out going, I don't like dancing. It was quite scary.
Yeah, I remember ballet being quite scary.
Yes. Back then, it really was that. And I just was like, that is my red rag. It was red rag to a bull of, this is not how I want a child's first experience of a dance class to be.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know how to adapt the dance classes I'd been teaching for older children to adapt to toddlers. And so I saw through Gymboree the things that we do, the Jimbo songs and all those sort of things, the repetition. They were tiny little toddlers remembering things week from week. So they literally said to me, Anne-Marie, you're a dancer. You start a class. They booked me a venue and told me to turn up.
Brilliant.
And I literally fell into it. And so I did, and it was the days of S Club 7, Tweenies,
all the
Steps.
repetitive songs that we all love to
exactly.
hear.
clean pop songs. So it was great. I could use and got my PRS license. And so I figured out sort of how the lessons should be structured, brought in some props. Then we decided to develop it, and it took off. I had one class up to 7 classes within a couple of months, all fully booked.
Wow.
It just blew up. And then down the line, I decided to, as I say, take on a couple of teachers, train them up. Then I worked with the music teacher who I taught with at Stagecoach. He wrote all of my original music. Then we decided, after I'd written the first album, it was great, we've got our own music. Fabulous. It's a real niche for us now. And then after that, I was actually finding that maybe the classes were too repetitive. So as the children were getting a bit older, they were getting a bit bored. So I was like, right, we need to change it up a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah.
And that's when we decided to then bring in the different dance styles to explore that. And I was like, oh, we've just had an album written. Hi, can we have a second album written? Because now I want to explore a salsa song and a disco song.
What a great problem to have.
Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah.
And so that's when we developed all the different dance styles. So, long time ago.
When I said to you then, how was it created? I was just thinking back to when I was younger, it was exactly like that. With the only offering to myself as a kid was ballet.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but it was very stand in a line. You hold yourself this way throughout the whole class. There isn't any laughter and fun, and there's nothing against ballet, by the way, to anyone, but you've brought the fun factor to it as well, where people can be themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think ballet is taught very differently now, especially in the preschool market. There are
100%.
lots of, obviously big
There's
shout
a lot
out
of
to
fun out there
Baby
now.
Ballet, big
Yeah.
shout out to lots of other companies doing it. And a lot of the local dance schools are seeing
I know Claire,
that
I
now.
wasn't talking about you.
We love Claire. And it's a lot, even the independent dance schools are teaching it in a really good way now.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about 21 years ago,
Yeah.
it was very different. And I just love, how all-inclusive we are. We get all children joining in.
Yeah.
Any gender coming in, they all get given the same props, they all wear whatever they want. But I think our branding and what we stand for is very inclusive as well.
100%.
So, all the blues and the greens, we get loads of different children.
Yeah, you need to talk about the children. I love your TikToks with the kids where you've got them sat down, or when they choose to sit on the chair or next to you, and you'll be asking a question and then they've just gone off.
Yeah.
And just love the interaction that you have with them.
Yeah.
Honestly, it makes me smile.
But it makes me laugh because I think that could be a little bit like us though as well.
Yeah, it's very much like the three of us in the room. Hey,
Yeah,
Kay.
we're talking away and they're like, oh, look at that. What's that? They just got off.
I know. I think we're doing quite well so far, aren't we? Because we're, just for the listeners out there, we're all kind of self-diagnosed ADHDers in the room. And as you're talking, I'm like, let Anne-Marie finish this sentence.
I've not had to intervene yet.
I feel we're all there going, no, let's speak. Oh, I've got a really good thing to say now.
And then I'm like, don't ask her about Afghanistan yet. Don't ask her. So I'm going to ask you, talk to me about Afghanistan. You dropped that into conversation earlier. I want to know.
Yeah, this is a mad one. But so when I left university, I trained in ballet and contemporary. Mm-hmm. And so I always thought my career would be in contemporary dance. And I was very lucky that I joined a contemporary dance company based at the Royal Opera House. So I was resident at the Royal Opera House for about a year. Amazing company, and I loved it, but there isn't a lot of money in that. So I did find myself doing more commercial jobs. So I was really lucky. I did the Brit Awards, I've done Top of the Pops, I've done endless amounts of music videos, all these sorts of things, Bryan Adams, Ash, loads of stuff. And through that, I joined an agency, CSE, Corporate Services Entertainment. Mm-hmm. And so the agency would provide dancers to go and put on a show. There'd be a comedian, there'd be a band, and there'd be a couple of backing dancers. And we would go overseas to perform for the troops and just keep morale up. So I was asked to go to Afghanistan for 8 days. So we flew commercial into Kabul.
Wow.
That was a different experience. So luckily the British Army met us at the airport and they said, we will meet you literally off the plane and we will get your bags for you.
I'm there thinking, oh, you went to Afghanistan, I'm thinking, no, that's wonderful, how lovely an opportunity. But actually, think about why you're there, what you're doing as soon as you get off that plane and the environment you're going into. Yeah. It's not the sparkly, wonderful world that I'm envisioning, thinking about it when I'm asking
Not
you.
at all.
It's the complete opposite.
I think there was a few of us, we had Paul Tonkinson with us, a comedian, mm-hmm. and I think there was a point where we're all sat at the airport and unfortunately there had been an IED explosion near the British Army base, which had unfortunately a soldier was killed the week before we went out. So the reality sort of hit us going, we are going into a war zone.
Yeah.
And this is actually really fucking scary.
Yeah.
But you get there, the army meet you, they literally grab your bags from you, because also you need to remember, in a war-torn country, people are desperate and they see any cases coming in of anything and they need it.
Yeah.
But you're not used to that environment. So they met us, drove us to the base. You are in a secure base, but every vehicle you go in, you get given the blue bulletproof vests, which shows that you're a member of the public, you're not part of that. So we stayed there, but we got to fly down to Kandahar, we got to fly up to, I can't remember the area, so we did a few different shows, flew with the RAF in a Hercules, was amazing. It was just such an amazing experience. We did have one scary evening where improvised explosives were being launched into the base. It's like, oh, okay, it's the middle of the night, let's all go and hide.
Oh, my life.
But it's something that I do look back on. And the British Army was so well respected over there that it wasn't, it sounds really volatile, but it wasn't, in a way, we got to go and visit loads of amazing places. We got to go to the zoo. We got to meet people at schools and listen to the work that actually the British Army had been doing over there to help rebuild the area, not just about protecting them, but actually about rebuilding.
Yeah, and providing back and giving back.
And they were really well respected there, schools and the hospitals and all of that. I mean, this was tens and tens of years ago, but I don't know how it is
talking
now,
about it now, it actually feels like yesterday, because I was going to say to you, gosh, how long ago was that? It was a long, long time ago, wasn't it?
Long time ago.
I mean, I can't even imagine what it would be like, because you will have your own way to prepare for a gig or when you're going out on stage, but you're going out in front of people, like you just said, a soldier being killed the week before.
Yeah.
Their thought and process and what they're expecting and what you're expecting, you walk into a completely different environment.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of weight on your shoulders, unknown, don't know what to expect, but it's the reason you're there is to almost help forget about that in moments, I would say.
And I think we got to a moment that the soldiers' memorial service was held on the base, and we were like, it just feels really wrong to be performing tonight.
Yeah.
But actually they all said this is exactly what they all need. And it definitely was an interesting experience.
I would say character building.
Yes. Yes.
Not many people would have the opportunity. And then, I mean, where did you go after that? What happened after? Not just, I'm not saying exactly what happened after Afghanistan. Where did you go in your career after that?
Wow, I think the good thing about being a dancer for me now is the resilience it builds, because you can literally walk into an audition and before you've even danced, they look you up and down, they say, next. You are getting rejections left, right and centre. Yeah. But for every 10 rejections you might get the one amazing job, and it just keeps you going. And so I was going from, I don't know, being in Afghanistan to doing an exhibition to, dancing up. We did some amazing, gaming exhibitions. And so we'd be dressed up as the characters from the games, performing routines, to, as I say, being on Top of the Pops, meeting Robbie Williams, going backstage at the Brit Awards where Eminem's walking past you, and Decca presenting.
You're saying that about the Brits and Eminem, that side is like the peak, isn't it?
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about how you dealt with the rejections, though, because it's like 1 in 10 you're going to get, but you've just come from a high knowing all the work that you've gone and put into to get up here, then to have to go back. I'm not saying you're going backwards to the beginning when you sat in front of somebody, but how do you deal with those kind of rejections? I think the judgment that you faced before you even performed.
I think at the time, back then, you almost switch off from it, because I don't know whether uni, well, it was a specialist dance college, I don't know whether that prepared me necessarily in the best way for it, because I was very lucky to be like a soloist. So in my final year, I had the solo performance, so I was on this almost like pedestal in my own head of like, oh my God, it's going to be so easy to get work. And then you move from Leeds down to London and everybody's the soloist for their college they've left. And you're like,
nobody knows me anymore.
What is this? But I think in the back of your mind as well, I always laugh now going, I reckon I'd probably get more work now because of the way I look than what I did back then. Yeah. I had straight, long, dark brown hair, little glasses, and I just looked like every other dancer.
I'm laughing because
I
actually saw a picture, you shared something not that long ago, and I was like, who is this person?
Is that?
This isn't the lady I am sat in front of right now.
It's mad, isn't it? I look so different.
Yeah.
But I think at the time it was just fitting in. So when you go into an audition, especially if you haven't danced, it was almost better in a way, because you knew it wasn't about your talent. It was just, do you know what? They're looking for a certain look. Yeah. And I don't fit that at the moment. So that's absolutely fine.
I think back then as well, it was kind of accepted in that industry. A little bit like when bit of a change, but when you look at Hollywood, you can understand, it's kind of part and parcel to what that career is. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of talk behind that. We could talk about that all day, about how people are treated, lots of different things going into that. That's a definite topic for another day. Yeah. But it kind of goes part and parcel with your career. Like, I know myself, there's judgment in every career. With
Absolutely.
every room you walk in, there's
Yeah.
that judgment.
Yeah.
But you know you're going there in front of a judgment panel. Yes, they've got an idea of what they're after, but you're still a human at the end of the day. That's still tough.
Absolutely, and I think the industry is a lot more inclusive
Yes,
now, and
100% now.
we celebrate dancers in every form, which is wonderful. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't always you walk into a room and they were looking at you for the size of you.
Yes.
Sometimes it was literally, it's this cruise ship and we need girls 5'8" and above.
Yeah.
And so you're like, might have been really good if we'd known that before we turned up.
Yes.
I don't care what I've put on my Z card, I'm only 5'7". And so it's, or, you know, just for this look, we just wanted blondes or whatever that is. I never took that to heart. Sometimes it could be frustrating. You've got through that round, you've gone through to the next round and the next round, and then you're like, I still didn't get it. There was one, I suppose my smallest claim to fame, Craig David 7 Days. I was down to the last 2 for that video. I should have been that girl walking past him under the subway, giving him the look.
Have you forgiven yourself for that? Have you let it go yet?
Well, I feel like I did. And I've done talks into schools before, and I was like, I got down to the last few for a Craig David video, and they've literally gone, who?
He's making it. He's made a comeback now. We all know.
So I
who he
feel
is
like
again.
it's brought up that
that
rejection again.
Maybe he should reapply.
yeah.
We'll give him a call after today.
See how it goes.
I'm sure I've got a contact over there. He lives in Dubai now. I'm sure we can find him somewhere.
Brilliant.
Don't hold me to it.
But yeah, when you get so close to a job, that can feel really frustrating.
Yeah.
But it almost gave me more drive as well.
Yeah.
So you're pounding the streets of London, back with your A to Z. This was before we'd got Google Maps and all of this stuff. You're pounding the streets with your A to Z, going from casting to casting to audition, and you just knew you loved it so much. That passion is what kept you going.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that. And the highs you get when you did get a job, you're spending all day, and it's not glamorous. People think back in dancing is glamorous. It's not. You are sat in a corridor somewhere of Earl's Court, getting given a sandwich for your lunch. You've been there 10 hours, but you're like, I'm going to be on stage at the Brits in a minute. So you sort of like forgave it a little bit. It's not right. It shouldn't have been done.
It's similar to a couple of my friends, they're models, they're in the modelling industry, and they have the exact same opinion to deal with. People think it's glitz and glam, and they're like, oh no. And some people also have the concept it's cigarettes and cans of Diet Coke. That's a diet. It definitely isn't.
No.
But it's a similar concept, and the opinion people think it's glitz and glam, and it's not.
No.
While you're doing the actual job you're doing, that's the glitz and glam part of it, but then it's like a light switch going off, I imagine.
It is, and I think it's like any industry as well. You have to know your worth, and unfortunately still to this day, there are so many young dancers, hungry dancers coming out of college, desperate to work, and so they know, some employers know that they can get them for peanuts.
Yeah.
And then what they need to remember is, I've spent 3 to 5 years training for this, honing my craft, sorting out my talent. You should pay me what I'm worth.
Yeah.
But you're so desperate for work.
Yeah.
But there's a vicious cycle that you never get out of. And, there's certain unions that, could help a little bit more. But it's just people are desperate for work. And
they
do
always
it for
will
free.
be, because, as I was saying, my mind starts ticking when you start talking about things. So where my mind went to with that was maybe something going back into school, into the educational system, but it's money, it's time.
Yeah.
And also people are still going to have that hunger, because passion, you can't put a price on it. So I'm answering my own question with it as I'm thinking about it. But it's a shame, isn't it? Because you aren't getting paid your worth, and that's why you do have to create your own businesses as well. You do have to look down other avenues, and sadly, in some circumstances, it diverts you away from what you love. Yeah. Because you don't get what you paid your worth.
No. And so you end up doing random jobs here, there, and everywhere to pay the mortgage. Well, didn't have a mortgage then, but paying the bills. But I think in a way as well, when you then decide to start a business, you almost have that mindset of, I understand what I need to do before I can start taking a wage, and before I can start earning a lot from this. I wasn't going from a full-time employed job to suddenly having no money. I was pretty much used to having no money. So it was just, okay, I can do this. I've got the resilience. I can build it up. Everything I make, I can plough back into the business and build it that way.
Going from being a dancer to being a business owner, what was that like for you?
Well, I always laugh sometimes when you're in environments and you might feel a little bit of that imposter syndrome. And my way of dealing with that is usually through humour. So I do like to take the piss out of myself a lot. So, a good response is usually, oh, well, I'm just a dancer. Roll my eyes and give it a bit of a ditzy look. But I think in a way, I didn't have any business experience. I didn't have any financial experience, but I did actually have a lot of business experience because I'd been my own boss.
Yeah.
Since
you
I
are
left
your business, aren't you?
uni.
Yeah.
I was like, I've always hustled for work. I have always worked hard. I've always been driven. And that will take you very far. Mm-hmm. You can learn everything else.
Yeah.
Or you can get the right people in that have that qualification to help you build your business. But I think to really be the founder and business owner, it's the passion and the drive that has to take you
100%.
That journey.
We say that to potential new awarding franchisees.
Yeah.
We say it's not going to be easy.
No.
It's not going to be wonderful every day. There are
No.
going to be days where you might not want to get out of bed. People are putting the phone down on you. You'll hit the bottom and you're thinking, unless you don't feel it here, this isn't for you. You need to love it, breathe it, want it to a degree that sometimes I can't describe to somebody how that looks and feels because it's very unique to other people.
Yeah.
What I've learned is through being in franchising, because it's a big scary world to some people who've never had a business before.
Yeah.
They'll look at, say, a Tezlom franchise and be like, oh, that sounds a great idea, it's recession proof, etc. And I'm like, no, there needs to be a lot more to that.
Yeah.
It's not just a financial exchange. We need to get to know each other. I need to know what your drives are. And they're like, well, what do you need me to tell you? And I was like, if I need to tell you why you need to enjoy this, then it's not for you.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to find out what my passion is, and I know mine's people.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to realise that. But yeah, I've gone off now into my mind of passion.
No, but I think that's
it's thinking all different things.
Yeah, because that's what an ethical franchisor will do. It's not about, oh great, yeah, I'm going to sell you this franchise because I'm going to give you all these false expectations and give you false hope of how easy it is to run this business. Any ethical franchisor will go, this is the reality of it.
Yeah.
This is what you're going to have to go through. But on those down days, this is where being part of a franchise is the right move.
You're not on your own.
You're not on your own.
Yeah.
We will be there, hold your hand, pick you up, give you a kick up the arse, whatever you need. That is what we're
for the
here
good
for.
and the bad, and
Yeah.
the bugs in between.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if the reality, then they go, oh, I am not made of that stuff. That is not right for me. Brilliant. Then
That's
great.
okay.
It's absolutely okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many franchisees have you got?
40.
Wowzer. And do you have how many of you I can't speak. How many of you are there in your team, like at your head office? Is it just you?
No, there's 4 of us at the moment, yeah. But all freelance.
Yes.
So we all have our best skills. And so the team I brought in because they have great admin, organisation, financial skills that are not my skills. I still have my own franchise and I still...
Do you?
I still teach the classes. I still teach 10 classes a week.
Well, I know you do because I see it through TikTok. I know that you're still very hands-on.
But that's because that's where my passion still is.
Yeah.
It's what I'm good at. And I bring on people that have got skills that are better than me at doing the other things.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to play to your skills. Just because I'm a franchisor doesn't mean that I should be the one sitting there doing all the organisational work or doing all the one-to-one calls.
Means you don't know everything. You're not going to be, like you've said it twice actually, I think, bringing people in who do it better than you.
Yeah.
We talk about it here all the time because it's a big thing to admit to yourself that I'm not good at that area. And then to bring somebody in, one, to allow them to do it, but two, leaving them to do it is another thing. Yeah. Comes with its teeth and issues, speaking from experience, not talking about anybody in particular. But it's having the right people around you. We talk about it all the time. That's the key, isn't it? And I think that in itself, being aware of what your skills and your weaknesses are.
Yeah.
And just because you've got a weakness in an area, the great thing is you can bring someone in to do it for you and leave you to focus on what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to be a very overpaid, unhappy admin clerk, aren't you?
Yeah,
otherwise?
and I just think things can change, roles can change and evolve and grow. And, sometimes the teams shift and we change things. But I just think if you all complement each other still in a good way, then it works. And I really actually love the fact that I still teach, because whenever we are always creating new content, new lessons. We just launched our baby classes last year, but I'm on the front line doing that. So I'm not there going, all right, I think that'll work. I'm actually testing it myself, and I can really relate to the franchisees in that way as well.
And you're doing it, aren't you, all the time? So you're close to the ground more than anyone. We're on the front line.
Yeah. And I just think for me personally as well, there are so many physical and mental health benefits to dancing that I definitely noticed in the pandemic when I wasn't teaching how that affected my mental health. And so for me, I know that actually teaching the classes is really good for me mentally as well.
Well, talking about mentally and mental health, I'm going to put Anne-Marie Diddi Dance to a side for a second because I feel like I know that part of you quite well.
Yeah.
But I don't know you as just Anne-Marie.
I don't
I'm
know
going
if
to
I
ask you
do.
a really personal question, actually. What's your morning routine like? What do you do from the moment you wake up in the morning?
My husband is definitely the morning person. So he's up early. He gets the kids' lunches ready and he has to leave the house at 7:30, but he takes the kids with him. So he's assistant head of a secondary school. My son attends that secondary school, not for much longer. He's doing his GCSEs. He had his first one today and I wasn't there.
Fingers crossed.
He came out, he felt very confident, so it's all good. And my daughter's school is literally just around the corner. So he's up, he's on it, he's a morning person and he's off. And people will probably tell me this is the worst thing I do. I lie in bed, I get my phone
and surf.
Because I post every morning on my personal accounts. So I get up, check notifications, check a few emails. I'm just quite alert in the morning, but I'm sure somebody is going to tell me it's the worst thing I could do for myself. Well, I've lasted 48 years doing it.
Yeah, and who
I'm
is
all
somebody
right.
to say that that's the right or wrong thing to do?
Do my morning post, check things are good, and then I feel like I've sort of got that out the way, go downstairs, have my coffee, say goodbye to the kids, sit around with the dog for a bit, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mornings a week, I'm then getting ready and leaving for a class.
Yeah.
So most of my classes are in the morning. And again, that really works for me. I get up, I'm getting ready, I go and do a class, whether it's 1, 2 back to back, and I'm energised then for the rest of the day. So because of that routine, I am then getting home in an afternoon, and I do have most afternoons free. I am getting back home, I've got my big fat bulldog snoring on my lap, and I just smash things out.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm hyper-focused.
Yes.
I'm just like,
It's
this
like
is what I'm doing today.
You just using these words are like triggering me to, I actually feel energised listening to you talk because I feel like by doing the classes, it's like your charger pull. You're like charging me up. I finish my classes, which usually you would expect to drain you.
No.
It does the opposite.
Absolutely.
Which I'm like nodding that going, yeah, I feel like this would be me as well. You're getting plugged into that energy.
Yeah.
So by the time you get home, even though you sat there with the dog, you're like, right, I am so hyper focused. I can do 5 things at once.
Absolutely.
I'll get this, done this.
Yeah. And I didn't realise that was like for the kids as well. So we used to market the classes are, does your child have endless energy? Why not come get it out their system in like a 45-minute dance class? And you're like, oh, that doesn't work, does it? Because they are leaving just as hyper as they might be a little bit later in the day. They're like, oh, okay, ready for that midday nap. Or especially with our babies classes, we do notice that a lot more. They come for their 35-minute class and you do see them like, and you're like, oh my God, that really works with them. But it's, they are going out just as hyped sometimes as they can. And I'm like, sorry about that.
Yeah,
See ya.
like, bye.
Yeah. And we do this like token. So a dance class is like a warm up, your main content and a cool down.
Yes.
So we do this cool down time. Shh. And I think for 30 seconds,
That's energising me.
I'm
I'm
really,
like, yes, let's go.
I'm really like calming them down for you grown-ups. Yeah, they're going to go away really cool and calm. And it's like, yeah, that didn't work. Okay, but it was worth a try. Worth a try.
It's funny because it's taken me to get to this age. I talk to Kay about it all the time. I'm still yet to change this into my own personal routine. I go to the gym after work, but sometimes it can be 6 o'clock, 7 or 9 o'clock at night.
No.
And I think, this will make me sleep.
Oh, no.
I get home and I'm like, ping. Why am I not going to sleep? I come into work the next day and Kay's like, I'm not having this conversation with you again. You need to come to the gym with me in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. I actually had this conversation with her yesterday. I was like, I'll come to that gym class at 7 with you. Text her at 5:30, 6 this morning. I won't be coming to that gym class today. I'm going to have an extra hour. And she was like, why?
I can't do something in an evening. I can't. Because I think you'll probably relate again. My brain needs a lot of decompression time. A lot. So I've got in, I'm like, oh, I need to do this. Boom, smash it out, do something else, do 20 other things. Plus I've, put some bread in the toaster that I've forgotten about. I've put 2 washers on, but I've left them in the thing. I've opened up the drawers and, that drawer is a little bit dirty. Do you know what? I need to clear out that whole drawer. The whole drawer is emptied and I've not finished it. You know what it's like. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it. We know you've got 20 things on the go and half of them have been left because you're like, I need to get back to that. But I think not until you speak to lots of other neurodivergent people who have been diagnosed, and everybody's brains are different. When you start to recognise those traits, you start to understand yourself better. Mm-hmm. And I was sometimes like the worst franchisor ever, because I just couldn't compute why my franchisees were feeling overwhelmed. Because it was in my head, I was like, would spend a day in my shoes. Understand how much I get done in a day.
Why are they not doing this?
How can you not get that much done? Yeah. Because their brains are very different to yours, Anne-Marie.
We've all got different superpowers, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, that is what my superpower is.
Yeah.
But that's not everybody's superpower. And that's really helped me be more understanding of everybody's different. And having a daughter who's neurodivergent as well, and with her dyslexia as well, and understanding, in education system, well, let's not go there, but we have to understand how to get the best out of people. Yeah. And it's not one size fits all.
I had the same conversation last week with Jane James. We were talking about how it can't be black and white, and the system is black and white. Yeah. Whether it's funding or whatever. I mean, as we say, huge topic in itself. Yeah. Huge topic, which is very sad in so many ways, because we don't fit in a pigeonhole. No. Nobody does. Maybe there's a way of learning where we remove those barriers, but I don't know how to do that.
God, the whole system needs changing.
Oh, massively. It's far too old-fashioned.
We've got to celebrate individuals, and we've got to stop putting the pressure on academic success. Does academic success equal financial success?
Absolutely
no, because you look at will.i.am, you look at Richard Branson, you look at so many neurodivergent business owners out there that academia wasn't for them.
Different people to aspire to, and you're like, that's not me. So you go insular, you go a bit further in. I've gone through a very similar journey with myself and a lot of friends, but just hearing you talk about certain behaviours of yourself, because Kay and I talk about it all the time with each other, because we are very lucky to have each other, because before even meeting Kay and Rachel Faye, it can be quite a lonely little world, but a very busy, noisy world. But I went through my life, still do have these moments where I'm like, I feel so alone. I've got a lot of friends and people around me, but because I was trying to fit into a lot of other holes.
Yeah, because you mask.
Yeah.
I'm
such a, fit in. When you said you put this jolly, the humour side onto you it's an act, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we have the biggest smile on our faces. We light up the room. We're giddy. We're silly. It's tiring. Yeah. It's hard at times, but we do it that much it becomes autopilot as well.
We do, but then we beat ourselves up about it.
Massively.
I will go away from an event that I've spoken at or I have done a TikTok at, and I am then...
I will do it after this.
That rejection sensitivity disorder. I am then beating myself for the whole week going, everybody thinks you're a dick. You are well over the top. Everybody thinks Anne-Marie's too over the top.
Why do we have to be so loud?
She's full of herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is she so loud? Why is she so over the top?
And we don't
She's
think that,
not
by the way,
professional
of each other, do we?
No, we don't. I don't know what anyone else thinks.
Do we,
but,
Kay?
but then you always worry that everybody's thought you're too in their face.
Yeah.
So then you worry. But at the end of the day, I think the older I've got, I do then have a little word, take myself in a corner, have a word with myself and go, fuck it.
Yeah.
You are who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you enjoy doing that. And I'm too old to care as well.
You know, I'm smiling when you're saying that, because when you just said fuck it, I was like, I literally have those moments all the time, because I think it is with age.
Yeah.
You start to become, I actually don't care so much. However,
you get your fuck it bucket.
The fuck it bucket gets full.
Yeah.
Empty it and start again. But the thing is, you know, when I say, oh, fuck it, I'll then do the complete opposite as well. I'll be like, oh, but I do care. Now do I sound like I've got a big ego? Do I now sound like I don't
don't get me wrong.
And
I
I'm
talk
like,
a good talk.
Why am I doing this?
But I don't always walk a good walk. You're like, because, I don't care. And I give it the big and then go, oh, I actually do care a little bit. Yeah, this week I'm really caring about that.
Yeah, I can't. I wish you could wake up in the morning and choose which Gem I want to be.
Yeah.
But there's a sensitive side to us massively, and I think we hide that very well at times. But what I was meaning is, I think this is my personal journey with it, I suppose. Not really spoke out about this before, but when I say I don't care, I over-care. I care too much. Like, I overthinking, but both ways.
Yeah.
Like I said, I will overthink this after we've pressed stop recording on this podcast, because I know what I'm like. I will say a certain word to somebody and think, oh, I really insulted them. Have I ruined their whole day?
Yeah.
Because it would ruin the whole of mine. Do you know what I mean? And you're probably understanding now why I've got a very busy mind.
Yeah, because I would have said something to a customer and joked about it and then gone, oh, but what if they took that the wrong way? Or you speak to a colleague or you speak to someone at a networking event and you've done a joke that you think's really funny and it's just not hit. It's not a hit, and then you're worrying about that. But, so there is a certain element where I am who I am and I'll do this and I'll do a TikTok video and I don't care. Mm-hmm. But there are certain moments where I feel I've said the wrong thing or cracked a rubbish joke or overshared something, maybe even about somebody else. That's not my place to say that. But you're trying to relate to them. I did it in a baby class the other week. We were talking about babies looking like one of the parents, and I was like, because the mad thing is, that baby isn't even related to that parent. It's like a foster family, and but it's mad because they really look like their biological children. And when I went rambling on, and we got out of that class, I went, oh, that's not my place to share that. And so the next week when they came in, I went,
cause.
No, but I stopped them and I said, I am so sorry for sharing your story last week. And luckily they were like, oh my God, please don't apologise, because we want to spread the word about fostering more. We need more foster families. And it was actually lovely.
You're actually doing the opposite to what you were thinking. You're actually helping them, but
you always worry about that you've overshared something or you've said the wrong thing. 100%.
My thing is rambling. Because I think I'm doing it even today. Probably am. But I'm slowly getting there where I'm like, it's okay. It's part of who I am. Because I'm smiling because yesterday when I did my QFP, got asked a couple of questions.
What's that? Sorry, you got QFP now?
QFP
oh my God.
So Gemma Hussey QFP, guys. New name on the podcast. Gemma Hussey QFP. When I was asked a question by Pip, I'd answer the question and I'd carry on talking and it'd take me to somewhere else, as most conversations do anyway. But I then went, oh my gosh, you asked me a question. Have I answered the question? What was the question? And then I went, I'm so sorry, guys. I just get so excited and nervous that I go off on, shiny thing. Yeah. And I think they are totally aware that it's coming from the passionate side as well as who I am. Yeah. But I was okay with it in the end. I actually said, you know what? I do ramble. And I'm okay with it. Yeah. And I sat and then I'm doing this fuck it bucket thing.
I should cross my arms because I'm fine. Being very defensive right
now.
That
I'm fine. Yeah. I'm not fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I know I do a lot of talks into networks about video confidence and the power of video and how we need to be engaging with our customers now. And so I did one for a big franchise network a couple of weeks ago. And I loved it. But I do go off on tangents and I've got my screens got my slides to keep me on track. but I am there a lot of the time. And we were laughing because we were near a park. And luckily the franchisor, I got there early, she'd done a talk. And she was in the middle of her talk and went, oh, look, there's swans. And everyone was like, oh, what? And I was really laughing. And I was in the middle of my talk and I'm talking about something very serious. And because you're formatting, you need to make sure you're doing it. Oh, look, there's a train. And everyone was laughing. But I know I ramble, but I'm always trying to reiterate the point. Mm-hmm. And I probably repeat things too much. But in my head, I'm like, have you really taken that in? Have you really got that?
Yeah.
And
see, I really enjoy talking to you because you talk at a speed that it hits for me. I'm like, yes.
Good. And what I didn't realise was, so I did it, and there was lots of laughs, and we did a TikTok at the end, and it was really good. And I came away feeling, oh, that felt good. But then you drive off to somewhere else, and then you start going, oh yeah, but you did swear quite a bit there. Oh, do you think that was a bit too much? You were probably a bit over the top there. But then you get an email saying, do you know what, one of my franchisees has just come up to me and said, you are up there with one of the best guest speakers we've ever had. And I'm like, oh my God, are you joking? Because then you worry you don't believe it. And you're like, oh my God. And then you get emotional because you're like, I didn't believe that about myself.
I've loved you on stage. Absolutely loved you on stage. But so I was going to say, sorry to interrupt you there for a second. But you were one of the people who inspired me to do face to cam.
Oh,
I've only done a little
good.
bit of it on LinkedIn, but you were probably one of the first people who set that off in the franchising world, like on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm not talking even about TikTok. I remember you kind of broke the mold with that side.
Yeah.
And I know I do believe you definitely have. Like I said to Ryan earlier this morning, I was like, where should I go with this podcast? In the beginning, he goes, well, what's the obvious thing? And I went, well, I'm not talking about TikTok straight away. And he went, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I said, but there's more to Anne-Marie than TikTok. And there is.
Yeah, definitely. But I just think everybody's comfortable doing different things.
Yes.
But I do believe we are in a society now where people, especially online, are constantly sold to.
Yes.
And we need to break away from that because people will switch off to you. They are paying for TV packages advert free. We do not want to be sold to online anymore.
No.
We want to get authenticity. We want to get to know
We need
people,
to see the
whether
human.
it's the people behind the brand or just get in the behind the scenes about the brand. You don't always have to be on camera. There are plenty of things you can do off camera, give it a bit of voiceover or demonstrate this or bring humour into it. But I definitely think people are going back to more, rather than buying from faceless things, they are buying from people again.
Yes.
And the power of video can do that, especially in the service industry.
100%.
The way we can get across the service that we provide is through video.
Yeah.
An image doesn't do it.
That's something, it's never changed, has it? People buy from people. And the more humanised, just be yourself.
Yeah.
Is how to get that out there. I mean, I don't really watch TV anymore. I might watch Netflix every now and then, so you don't really get interrupted by the adverts. But it's just, to me, like the DFS adverts. They're so scripted and a person is looking a certain way and I'm already switching off talking about it. But then when I've become very comfortable with missing my words out, stumbling, forgetting what I'm saying on camera now. And I say to Kay, should I do that again? She's like, nope, that's perfect. And I'm like, oh, actually, that is perfect because that's who I am.
Exactly.
How many people make a mistake when they're I'm doing it now as I'm talking. They stumble.
Yeah.
They forget certain words. They miss things out. It's okay. It's who you are. It's being okay with that. That's the...
Showing your authentic self. And if you have to put on a show, then are you in the right job? Because in this, you go to the classic, people need to get to know you, they need to get to like you, and they need to get to trust you.
They do.
And if you can't convey that for your brand or your job or whatever that is, then find somebody who can. And I'm just lucky from a performing background that I am comfortable doing those things. But I also think it takes a lot of practice. It's not always... Sometimes we do need to push ourselves out of our comfort zone.
Yes.
So either
If we
find
didn't,
someone who
it'd be
can
pretty
or do
boring,
it.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But I do also appreciate it's not for everyone.
No.
But I do think it's a powerful tool now that we should all be utilising.
Definitely.
A little sales pitch there.
Yeah. So, speaking of that, if anybody does want to get in touch with you, Anne-Marie,
Yeah.
how do they contact you? On what platforms?
They
and
can
how?
just contact me on LinkedIn and I will let them know.
Love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with me today. I'm a little bit conscious because I don't have any concept of what time it is or how long we've been talking.
No
Because I actually would love to keep you here all day, but how are we getting on, Kay? I don't mind interrupting on the podcast.
48 minutes. It's good. It's
Oh, we got plenty of time, yeah.
Good, because in that case, I'm going to ask you a direct question. And it's a really obvious, cheesy question, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I get it asked all the time. If there was one question you could... there I go again, can't do it. There's one question, one piece of advice you would give the younger Anne-Marie, what would it be and why? And I'm talking under 16.
Under 16?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I think it's hard because I'm one of these people, I'm very lucky. I found my passion very early in life.
Yes.
I knew I wanted to always do something with dancing. Now, from a very early age, it was recognised that I was talented and that I could do that. And so,
when you say early age and it found you very quickly, how so? Was that like at age of 3 you were dancing?
My mum took me along to a dance class when I was 3,
There you go.
and I started there. The dance teacher there saw something in me, so asked me to come a couple of times a week. I was very good at it apparently, and then went on after GCSEs, did A-level dance, did my degree in dance. And so even at 16, I sort of not knew. I used to doodle logos of dance schools. I always knew I wanted to own my own dance school, but I thought it'd be in a more traditional setting. So I think what I would say to myself would be, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know it all. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a massive thing for me going into franchising. I'm like, but if people are buying into my network, they want everything from me. Yeah. And if I can't give them everything, then they're going to lose trust in me. They're going to question why they bought into the franchise. And actually you're like,
no, it's the opposite way.
They bought into this because of this, but actually that's not even related to Diddi Dance. And actually that's not, and Google is your friend. And, there are lots of things they can do themselves.
Yeah.
But I think it was probably the pandemic that helped me shift that mindset, because the shit hits the fan and you have got your whole network going, well, Anne-Marie, what do we do?
Well, they're all just looking at you. You've got 40 faces now looking at you.
What are we doing? What's going to happen? When are we coming out of lockdown? When are we doing this? My favourite line was, I don't have a hotline to Boris Johnson. Bojo is not my friend. I don't know him. I said, I know as much as you know.
Yeah.
But what it
Could
made
you do anything online, or was it
we did go online, and it worked for a certain amount of time, and we were quite flexible with that, and we built up a big bank of sessions and videos online that people can still access today. And I was really proud of the network, because obviously I was very comfortable suddenly going online, but they weren't.
Yeah.
But I tried to change their mindset into yes, you don't have the children grown-ups to feed off in the class, but you can create your own reality. You are doing it to a screen, but imagine behind that screen there is hundreds of kids. You're on stage, there's hundreds of kids, and they are all shouting your name and thinking you're wonderful. You actually don't have to face the stark reality
of it. That's how
Johnny's rolling around the corner picking his nose. They're rolling around the floor about to punch someone. You don't have the stark reality of no one's listening to you.
The toilet mid-break.
Exactly. So we overcame that. We did go online. But it changed the mindset for me, because I learnt to reach out to them as well. They supported me during the pandemic just as much, if not more. I supported them through that time, because everybody rallied around. I was, I'm not embarrassed to say I had a breakdown on one of our lives with the network, because it just got so overwhelming. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And I just went, I don't know.
Yeah.
And everyone went, because I think for them, it was almost like a realisation of,
shit, no one has the answers.
She's not Wonder Woman, actually. Yeah. She is human. She's not a robot who does 20 million things at once. She's a human like the rest of us.
Yeah.
And right now, she doesn't know.
Yeah.
And everybody sort of stopped and went, right, let's come together. What are we doing about this?
That's probably one of the best things that you did, actually.
Yeah.
Saying that, because there is no textbook for what we go through ever, especially through COVID. But in that instance, when you're on that phone call, I mean, I feel that energy when you're talking about it. Then it's like everyone's coming at you. And as we talk about it, I'm leaning further back
Yeah.
because I can feel that pressure.
Yeah.
When you did have that breakdown on the call, did you do anything different? How did you? Well, not did you do anything different. How did you look after you?
I think
What
it would
did
have
you
been
do for you.
I think it would have been really easy to just go, guys, I need to end the call and we'll speak again later.
Just turn off. Yeah.
But I don't think that would have helped me or them.
No.
So I accepted the state I was in, took a moment, and then I said, but you know what? We can get through this, and we will.
Yeah.
God, I get emotional about it. And it was just such a turning point that I think the best thing I did was stay on that call, because I'm not usually an emotional person. I'm like that, we laugh about, I'm like that Ross from Friends when he does a massage with the wooden spoons, like,
So I do that.
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm
Ross.
fine. Everything's okay. Everything's okay. Everything's
Yeah.
okay. So a big reason why I'm not the franchise support manager,
Yes.
because it's my brand, it's my baby. I'm maybe a little bit too passionate about it. So I don't always come from a subjective, empathetic angle,
Yeah.
which somebody more neutral, my business manager,
See, when
does.
you said empathetic and passionate, I would put them two words together. But actually, when you apply it in a business, you're only going to go with one direction, aren't you? And that's your heart.
Yeah, and you
Sometimes
can be
need someone to-
defensive if you're too passionate.
Yes.
So it was, picked myself up and went, right, but do you know what? We can get through this. And then we put practical steps in place. Let's try this, let's try that. And you go back to that classic, what can I control and what is out of my
Yeah.
control? And what is out of your control, there is no point stressing about. You say no point stressing about. Of course, we all stress about it. But you have to try and separate yourself from
Yeah.
that to move forward. And so we all got very practical, did what we could.
You know what I realised on that call, from you talk about that call? You realise you're not on your own.
Yeah, that was a massive thing.
And they've probably, not saying they've never had a voice, but it got them thinking how they can support you.
Yeah,
Because it's never a one-way street in franchising. It's a two-way relationship, absolutely. But like you said, people will have looked at you as in to go, where are the answers? What's going on?
yeah,
And all you've done is gone, there's no textbook for this. There was no training for this. I don't know.
yeah,
I'm a human here. But by you being so raw and honest, but just by being you,
yeah.
that's probably one of the best conversations I can imagine you having with your network.
Yeah, and I think it really turned something as well because, again, through a mindset, but what was being perceived as, oh, well, we can't mention this to Anne-Marie because she'll be quite defensive about it. Actually, what it was like, yeah, but that's my role to come up with everything. It's my role to come up with all the ideas and all the answers. Otherwise, why have you bought into the network?
Yeah.
So, oh my God, if you bring up an idea that I haven't already thought about, I'm a failure.
Right.
So I
Yes.
always thought if I didn't have the answer or I hadn't thought of it first,
Yeah.
I must be a failure. So what that did for me, because there was no way I could have thought about that, there was no way I could have known how to deal with the pandemic, made me realise they are our partners and they are here invested into this business as much as you. And so I became a lot more open and listening to them then. So when we've worked with an early years movement specialist and a child psychologist to develop our babies' classes because we didn't want them to be static music classes.
Yes.
We wanted them to be movement based. So whilst working with the experts, I also asked all the franchisees because they've got a wealth of experience.
They'll have a
and
network
knowledge.
that you won't even know about.
Exactly. And I was like, right, let's share this. I mean, a lot it did end up, it was still me going, oh, actually, maybe
Yeah.
not. But
But by
the idea
doing
was
that,
yeah.
it's a step, isn't it? It's a change
Yeah.
of direction to probably what you'd done before. It's interesting because I'd never thought you'd have thought that way.
Yeah.
Just by saying, if it's not your idea, then you feel like you've failed.
Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Why didn't I have that idea?
Yeah.
Well, then I must be failure if I've not already thought of it.
But that comes back to exactly what we were saying earlier. Finding people to do things for you that you're not great at. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying you're not great at coming up with ideas. Just
That's
having
exactly
people
what you're
around you. I know. I'm so sorry. You're rubbish.
Oh my God.
No, it is. It's that though, isn't it? It's realising, you can't do everything.
No.
There's only so many hours in a day, even though we find extra hours and
We
minutes
do.
and moments and seconds and
We do.
milliseconds and nanoseconds. Breathe. It's admitting, people around you to get other ideas from.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would never sleep, Anne-Marie,
No,
for one.
I know. And,
Yeah.
you know, our franchisees are brilliant. They are definitely partners. They are definitely, you have all different personalities, and some are a lot more open than others. Some are quite happy, you know, carrying on. And some really do want to be more involved and come up with more things. And I definitely embrace that a lot more now. But it's never been
Well, it's
from
your
a point
baby,
of,
isn't it?
this is mine and how dare you touch it. It's always been from a, yeah, but I'm meant to have done that for you already. It's always...
You're
and
evolving.
but I think how our brains are different. We are always doing things and know why in our heads we do it, but the perception can be very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
That is we need to do another podcast just on that in itself.
You're
to be
rude.
honest.
You're butting in. You're saying that wrong. You're doing that wrong. But what we're trying to do is
how
is
long
be
did I leave
really
you with Ryan
encouraging.
earlier? Because he says that to me literally every day. He's like, "Will you let me finish?" I'm like, but I'm actually going into that character now because I can feel him saying it to me. Or in fact, my mother, or the teachers at school,
Yeah.
or most of my friends. The only person who doesn't say that to me is so far away. It's a shame this isn't a three-way podcast, but it would never stop.
True.
Yeah, it's... see, my brain's gone...
Well, we're just there, aren't we? Because I want to say this because I want to relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Or I've got this really good thing as well.
It's not because I think I know what you're going to say. It's just
No.
because I'm like, that's where I'm going with it. And do you know
Yeah.
what? A lot of the time, I am wrong. You know, because somebody says, well, if you'd let me finish in this tone, if you'd let me finish, you'd have heard what I was going to say, and it wasn't that. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, still, I'm going to interrupt, and I'm going to interrupt again and say, well, what I was thinking was, in my head and my heart, I'm relating to you to show that, like we were saying earlier, I'm on the same page as you, I believe, and it's showing that I care and that I'm listening, and I want you to know that I can relate to it.
Yeah.
It's like when we said earlier, if somebody's got a story to tell you, our first instinct, the first thing we want to do is share that same experience.
Yeah.
And sometimes, all right, it might be a better experience, sorry. And sometimes it won't. It's not even about that. There's no battle, or you're not trying to win anything.
I just want you to know I understand.
Yes.
Or I can relate to it.
I did that too.
Yeah.
We did it together.
Yeah. But you get met with, she's made it all about her again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you're in a completely different industry than me, so dancing is very theatrical, it's very out there, so you would people would probably assume that of you in some ways. Is that something you come across?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that probably stems back to school. There was always this perception of me because I was a dancer. I had confidence. When we put on school plays, I got the lead parts. It was that sort of thing. But then you'd get all the others. Oh, look at her. She's so up herself. Or she's so full of herself. Oh, look at her getting the main part again. I didn't ask for it.
They wouldn't want it themselves either, by the way.
No,
would
they didn't want it.
No.
But I didn't go up there and pay someone or beg them to give me the part. I just did what I did, and naturally things happened. But then that comes with its own, oh, look at her, and oh, I hate her. And, you know.
Was school very much like that for you?
Not all the time, but secondary school did get hard at certain points because I was quite academic as well. So I did do okay in my GCSEs. I did work hard. I did manage to focus quite well. But there was always this, there was always a certain group of girls that, well, you're a show off, you're up yourself, you're going to do this, I'm going to have you after school. There was too many times.
I'm doing that relating thing to you. I'm like, not making it about me, but just to share my experience. School was very much the same like that for me. I wasn't in any performing arts activities. I loved horse riding as a kid, but as a student at secondary school, I was loud, confident. My confidence was probably my nerves being hidden by a mask of being the humorous one, of being the loud and smiley one. School was really difficult in so many ways, but I did manage as well to focus, like you did, as academically great. I was clever at school, I was in all the top sets at school. Yeah, I enjoyed that side of it. I didn't enjoy the human side, the people, the kids around me, friends. Yeah, you've got your core friends, and then you've got like almost like the bully group, and they're following you home, and they're shouting things at you, and they're threatening you, and you're just like, I don't really, back then. What's I done wrong to you? I wouldn't even swear.
I'd be like, bog off, and like run off and stuff. And like your mates who you thought would be there to stick up for you, but because they're the hard girls, they'd almost distance themselves, and you'd be like, I really am alone, and I'm potentially going to get beat up on my way home from school here, and I don't like this.
No.
But I don't even know when it ended or how it ended. But then you move on. And
it's weird actually, because I was talking about this last week. I was asked, similar question I asked you is, what piece of advice would you tell your younger self? And I said that it's okay to not understand, like you said, but it's okay that not everyone's going to like you.
Yeah, that's a big
part. And when I said that, I was like, oh, where have I got that from? And I stemmed it down to the bullies at school. I was like, when you just said, I don't know when it stopped. Yeah. In some sense, it's because the bullies a lot of the time don't go anywhere. It's because they need to look at themselves. I'm not being unkind by saying that. It's just when I think back about a lot of people who did bully me at school, it was because I wish I could hold a mirror up to them and say, you're not okay.
Yeah, it's definitely
it's
a reflection of
some
them.
things.
Yeah.
And I know I keep talking about UK, it's because you're in the room. We have these conversations quite a bit because I can go and I like to talk about the past, because I feel like a lot of the moments that happened in the past show up in the future and the present now. And it's understanding why I behave, why I think about these certain things. And school had a huge impact, a bigger impact on who I am now than I realised. Yeah. And it's identifying why, and it's okay. I've dealt with a lot of the things, but the fact I'm talking about it now shows that it's still there somewhere, poking a little pin.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes you don't recognise it, but I think, when I go away from something and I think, I've been quite over the top today, you worry that, you've got that group talking about you now that hate you. And so that obviously stems back to that, but also you've got that worrying just about so many other things about you. And have I been too confident? Have I been too over the top? And
I like our confidence. I do feel like that's our superpower at the same time, even though it's something we question and we can feel a little bit, I don't think embarrassed is the word. It's just we apologise to ourselves and then go, oh my God, have I been too loud? But at the end of the day, it's who we are. Definitely. It's why you're so great at the business that you have. It's because of who you are. It's part of your magic.
Yeah,
and I imagine doing your job going, hi, I'm
no, or taking yourself too seriously. You just can't.
How are you going to do your roly-polies and you're shaking your hands and singing down the phone? And
even though I'm very aware it can be a defence mechanism, let me take the piss out of myself before someone else does. It's also, I do like being quite relaxed about that and taking the mick out of myself. I can't take myself too seriously. No. And it's worked very well on the socials and building the brand. And we've had franchisees come to us from TikTok who said, do you know what? I knew from your videos, that's the ethos I wanted to be involved with. I wanted to be involved with a fun brand that didn't take itself too seriously, because at the heart of what they are doing is creating fun for those children and families.
It's finding those like-minded people.
Yeah.
That's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah.
You want to work with this type of people.
Absolutely.
100%.
And that's quite hard at the moment.
Yeah.
Really struggling to find those people at the moment.
Because you're so unique.
Maybe I need to tone it back a bit, and then people will be like, oh, yeah, I could do that. Yeah.
I've noticed on TikTok, you've your daughter's on a lot of the videos with you now, talking about on the journeys home from school together.
Yes.
So we've done that, 'cause I love that.
Well, we've done a couple of them like that, because I think I was giving out all the great advice to others, but not necessarily doing it myself. All my videos were like in uniform, branding, talking about this, and yes, being funny and relating to how I'm not a parent of toddlers anymore, but I teach toddlers. Yes. That's the target market I want to hit. Whereas actually, I just need to be relatable. I need to be relatable as a mum. And so, my daughter is hilarious.
She's absolutely hilarious.
She's also neurodivergent.
How old is she?
12.
Yeah, because she's got such an older head on her shoulders.
Yeah. Oh, some of the things she has come out with are so wise beyond her years. She's so creative. She's so confident. She loves going to Stagecoach every week. Shout out to Stagecoach. I used to teach for them. I think they're an amazing brand. But we were driving home one day and she was talking to me about something. We were quite deep in conversation. Then all of a sudden, you'll laugh at this, she went, oh my God, look at those leaves falling over there. And she went
I've seen her do that actually.
on a tangent. Yeah. And I was like, Lil, we need to video our chats going home because you are so funny. So I literally have the phone on there, 25 minute journey home, and I edit it up into clips because one, I think she's hilarious and she doesn't mind being on camera.
She doesn't even realise that she's hilarious.
No.
Which is the fun part of it.
I think
it's natural.
It's lovely watching our relationship on that. We did a few during the holiday, jumped on a few trends of, you know, when you're a cool mum trying to pinch your daughter's skincare. And
yeah, I saw that one.
And
She's got some products.
Oh,
seriously.
A lot of them are Aldi dupes.
They're the best.
But there was a couple of things I wanted to relate to being a parent this week in particular because of my son doing his GCSEs. And I thought, I know I might not hit parents of toddlers because they can't relate to that, but I can relate to parents. And so my parenting journey of a teenager right now, when you jump on certain trends that are like, can I help you with your biology? No. Can I help you with it? It just cracked me up. And I really had to beg him to do that. I went, look, your face doesn't need to be on there. Hide behind your books, but I think it'd be funny. And this morning I posted one where it was just like, have a good day. Do ya? I can't remember what the saying is. Skibbity toilet riz. And which is some stupid, like,
I can't think
young
of what it is, but I actually
kid.
do know which one you're on about as well.
Some silly kid saying. And he said to me, I will not be in a video, not even the back of my head will be in a video with you saying skibbity toilet riz. It's so, because he knows how stupid it is, because I don't really know what it means. But so I said, fine, I'll just do it myself. When you're trying to be a cool mum, relating to your 16-year-old. And
he's gone.
And it has. And those, particularly those videos, do blow up a lot more because one, I'm not pushing my brand on anyone, but two, I'm being relatable to other parents.
Like you being sat here right now, where there's mum guilt.
Yeah.
Because of the GCSE today.
Yeah.
That will be so more relatable than the mums who are there.
So
it will be relatable to people just by talking about that.
Yeah.
Most people would, I'm not saying it's something to be embarrassed about at all, but it's something that
it's
if
real.
you
Mum
could choose
guilt
to,
never leaves you.
It's true mum guilt, isn't it?
Never leaves you. You're always guilty about something. And when he was a little baby, we were pilot franchising, but I was just trying to get into launching full-on franchising. And, you know, I'd stupidly thought, well, when he sleeps, I can get loads of work done. That's not real life.
I don't have children, but I even know that's not happening.
But you would need to focus on the business. So you're trying to email and do stuff, but then you feel guilty that he's in his bouncer for a bit or he's stuck in front of the TV for a bit. And then you'd give loads of time and dedication to him and I'd do all this with him. And then you'd be like, oh.
Business guilt.
You can never win, but you do find the balance.
Yeah.
You really do. And I do feel in a good place with that balance. But I do then sometimes get to a point where, I've got a whole afternoon to myself and this is great and I'm going to do this. But that's not, I'm going to be unsuccessful now.
I just love the ingestion of energy. I was like, I'm here.
If I'm not working that hard, then the universe is going to punish me because I'm not giving it full-on work. I'm going to be unsuccessful. And it's ridiculous that
I'm
you
just
think
looking at
that.
Why are you thinking this? But then I can relate to it. So
I'm not allowed a whole afternoon off. This is ridiculous. I should be working harder. Yeah.
Even when you're off, you're not off. You never switch off.
You don't. And I think because we work the way we work, you know, for me, I've got an afternoon off. But what I'm not realising is I've still done 6 social media posts. I've still replied to 24 emails or whatever it is. But for me, that's 2 seconds and I've put the phone down.
But that's work.
That's work.
But it's because it's your passion.
I know.
But yeah.
Crazy.
Thank you so much for coming over here today.
Oh, I've loved it. Thank you for having me.
And my head is still buzzing. I thought sometimes you think, I've said too much. I could go on for hours with you.
Absolutely. But we would get ourselves into trouble and end up saying stuff we're not meant to. And then
stay tuned for that one. Part 2.
Big job of editing there. Oh, God, imagine. The uncut version.
We'll have to do little short ones of one topic and really go dirty and 30.
Or the bloopers reel. That could get really bad.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thanks, Kay.
Thank you.
Love you.